really day one, media day through camp. I just want you to describe the first quarter, those first 12 minutes. How good was that defense?
Honestly, you look at it on film, we did a lot of good things, and they missed some shots. That's part of the league. That goes hand in hand with the quality of your defense. But I was very impressed because we said going in, if we have to set the tone defensively to give ourselves a chance. If we're relying solely on whether we make shots, we're leaving it to chance. Let's at least give ourselves an opportunity. We knew that the pace at which they were going to play, understand the environment. That place was like a playoff environment, which is great. 20,000 strong. Obviously didn't play their last season, so the excitement of them playing their first home game in roughly a year and a half, you could feel it. It was palatable. So the fact that we could respond, we set the tone, it really speaks volumes of our group.
When you play like that and it's the end of the first quarter and you're sitting in that huddle, could you get the sense that everything that you were talking about, they even bought in more?
It's always a thing of validation when you have success doing, what you're teaching, what you're preaching, and it works. The next step for us is let's not get bored with it. Let's not get bored with success. Continue to do what got us where we were, and build upon that. I think that's, you're fighting human nature, I guess, to take the foot off the gas a bit, but it's got to be a priority for us.
Were you surprised at how well they played defensively after the preseason, or did you expect them to come out and play like that?
To a certain extent, I was, expecting it, because we saw incremental improvement over those 4 preseason games. Not always the whole game, but I think in stretches. We've talked about those stretches quite a bit and looked at it, watched a ton of film on it, and so I think the guys understand. Let's clean up these areas, and it wasn't perfect. Our transition defense was still lacking. A lot of that was our turnovers. Finishing possessions with a rebound. Give up 19 offensive rebounds. So it wasn't perfect, but we did do a lot of good things and did them, at critical points of the game.
You guys did win the rebounding margin, though. Talked a little bit about that during the preseason, of course. What do you think worked well for you? You mentioned the offensive rebounds. What do you think worked well in the class?
Just the overall effort. Kyle was great. 15 overall rebounds, which is a huge number. But there were other team rebounds where no one gets it, but it's a gang rebound mentality where a small comes in late and taps it to a teammate. Those are plays that don't fall in the box score, but those count. So just that overall mindset. You got to defend for the duration of the possession, not just the first 16 or 18 seconds.
And how would you categorize the 3-point defense? Obviously, you guys didn't allow very many threes. You think you were forcing misses, or were they just missing shots?
I think we were forcing our share of them. They did miss probably some they ordinarily make, but we've changed, coverages. We were down the floor a little bit more last night, up to touch at times. So just trying to keep them off balance, so that there's not a steady rhythm as far as how we're guarding, and that takes that indecision, makes it a little tougher for guards to make those reads. So now they're not just picking us apart. I think it's going to be good for us going forward.
You guys have Indiana next. They've got a pretty big front court, a good front court, but just in terms of the size, with your big man topping out at 6'10" and going up against 6'11", 7 footers, what do you think will be key for you guys?
We got to be disciplined. I mean, their bigs are dynamic, can play inside out, can shoot the three, and they're both extremely physical. So we got to be smart with our hands, our body position. We got to be ahead of the play to give ourselves a chance. Ideally, want to try and play straight up as we can. We don't want to overhelp, but if we have to bring help, we will. It's going to be a challenge for our front court to be able to defend those two.
Coach, what did you think of the ball movement on offense yesterday?
In general, it was pretty good. I thought we got a little careless at times. A lot of the turnovers were, the live ball turnovers were preventable, where we're just making auto passes. We're not quite as clean with our setups, our exchanges. We got to do a better job screening to get guys open, and we've got to do a better job of owning our spots. Not letting teams push us out, take us out of our first options.
What do you think is the optimal balance now between getting immediate results and ongoing development?
It's continual. I think it'll ebb and flow as the season goes, where you'll see carryover. We'll see improvement uptick in certain areas and maybe slippage in others. So just trying to make sure that, we're circling certain items and say, hey, this is a problem we're seeing, a pattern we're seeing. Let's clean this up, versus stressing the good. So I think it's ever evolving, and it'll continue throughout the season. Mhm.
Neil?
Hey, Coach, I guess generally, what did you guys work on at practice today?
We showed a lot of film. We got back a little later than we'd like. So instead of getting after it today, it was more of a mental day. A lot of film, clean up on the court, just, working against some of the issues in the fourth quarter. And then it's get what you need day. If you need treatment, you want to get extra shots, guys who didn't get a lot of minutes, get some conditioning, but not too taxing at all.
And then for the turnovers yesterday, I don't know if you've gone in depth and looked at it. Is it, somewhat just, first game jitters, kind of trying to do a little bit too much, or how did you assess those?
I'm sure it's all of the above, where you're also playing a very good defensive team. It's got size, length, ability to switch. They don't give you a lot of advantage. They're very good loading, against ISOs. So it just boils down to us making sure we're creating leads. We're good. We're clean with our setups. We got pace into our actions. If you're walking the ball up, now you're playing against the clock, a team with length and size, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Thanks, Coach.
Christos?
Hello, Coach. Hope you're doing well, first of all. Speaking about your defensive effort and the intensity on your defensive end, how big was the progress of your team from the preseason games until the game in Toronto?
It's been better. I think we've taken baby steps throughout the preseason, but it was nice to see at least the first three and a half quarters where we were pretty locked in. We saw some carryover in a lot of areas. The issue still being the transition, offensive rebounds. But overall, I thought we were better at the point of attack. We were better in our pick and roll coverage. We were pretty good in our communication. So those are things we've harped on. And to see it happening, opening night was terrific for our group.
And you have 81 more games of the regular season. What
At
would you
least.
like to Yeah, at least, right. What would you like to maintain in these 81 games of the regular season and the playoffs after the regular season?
Well, it'd be selfish to say, hey, we're going to hold every team to, low 30s from the field, low 20s from three. That's unrealistic. But I just think the overall effort, our focus, our defensive energy was great. We can rely on that. I think if we can do that, obviously we'll make our share of shots, but we're not going to, let our offense dictate our defense. Continue to lock in, make that a priority. I think it'll help win us a lot of games.
Chris?
Hey, Coach. Congrats on the win last night.
Thank you.
Just want to ask about bringing Denny off the bench first. Was that something that was it because of matchups, or was it necessarily something you want to do moving forward?
It's a little bit of both. I think, where he is condition wise, he's still kind of ramping it up. So we have to be mindful of his minutes. So, being careful and cautious as far as those stretches not being too long. But it's also gives us an advantage. He's got size to switch. He's got the ability to contain. He can be aggressive downhill player. So, adding another ball mover, a secondary ball handler, especially out of pick and rolls, I think is good for that second group. So I think it's a little bit of both. We'll see how the matchups go, but I'm not matching, his minutes necessarily with anyone else's. Just trying to ramp him up incrementally to get a longer stretch.
Thanks, Coach.
That's it, Coach. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Guys, last night, just what are your takeaways from the first game with all these new players and the new coaching staff?
I think the mentality and the way we compete, we were able to. We've been talking about carrying over what we've been doing in practice at the game, and we did that on our first game. So I think that was great. but it's a long season. We can't get too happy with one win. We gotta keep doing our work. We gotta keep trying to get better. But definitely the mentality and the way we compete was the biggest two things for me.
In the preseason, there were a few games where maybe you wondered, like, is the defensive work going to take a little time to show up? Of course, the game against New York. Did you kind of expect it to click in game one, or were you a little surprised at how well you guys played on that?
I mean, we wanted to be able to execute our defense as soon as possible. And I think once we put the mindset, in the preseason, sometimes guys are not fully locked in, or they're not 100% there because, it's preseason. It doesn't count whatever everybody has in their mind. But I think it was good. Of course, it's gonna change between games. People are gonna see the way we play defense and gonna try to do things where it's gonna make it harder for us. But I think overall was good. I don't think I'm surprised. I'm happy, more than surprised that we were able to execute and um, do the adjustments we have on our defense. And like I said, I think it's only gonna get harder. People are gonna start watching us. People are gonna start seeing what we do and trying to make it harder for us. But to answer your questions, it doesn't surprise me.
Once again, you make a defensive play that has a lot of energy with it. You got Brad diving for a loose ball last night. But I want to specifically talk about the first 12 minutes of the game. That's championship level defense that you guys played. That quarter was over with. You guys are like sitting there in the huddle. Was there a moment where Coach Unseld said, "See what I told you guys? If you do this, this is what we could do all season long"? What was the conversations after that quarter was over?
No, I think it's crazy because as good as we play the defense, we're always talking about how we can get better, how we could improve something. Even though we play great defense, we were talking about the couple plays that maybe we didn't rotate, or I don't know, we didn't talk. So it doesn't, I mean, we play great, but we're always trying to get better. So we never had that conversation like, like we did it, like we're playing great, because it's the first game of the season, and there's still a long way to go to where we want to be. But I think we're just focused. Of course, we are like hyped up with the way we played the first 12 minutes. We're like, whoa, we're actually good, like I don't think we showed that in the preseason, and having that feeling as a team, it's great, and it gives us, more energy to keep going.
You know how it is to play in Toronto. That was the first time they had fans in there since the pandemic. So was that really a key to jump on them early, kind of to take their crowd out of it?
Yeah, we talked about it in the locker room, and we talked about it in the huddle, like right before, when they were doing this 10-15 minutes intro. We were like, we ready to go. Let's go. We can't let this affect us of how we start the game. So we talked about it. I think we got a team with enough ears to not let those things affect us the way we play. And like I said, we did a good job on starting the game with energy. We know that when you're playing there, if you let them, start the game well, or if you let them get their crowd going, it just makes it harder for you. So we talked about it, and we executed.
Last night was kind of an easy sign of seeing what depth really looks like, where maybe the guys that didn't have it going, there's somebody that can come off the bench and really contribute. What does depth on this team for you look like, as opposed to maybe other teams you've been on?
As far as like my role on the team,
Yeah.
I think as right now, it is what it is. Like I played the 20 minutes. I know games. There are going to be games I'll play more. There's going to be games I'll play less. There are going to be games we're going to need more guys coming out of the bench. But I think things change. It's a too long of a season to have the same guys playing the same minutes and have the same role on the team. But like I've always say, my mentality is not really to think about how much I'm gonna play, or how much the time I'm gonna have on the court. It's just when I get in there, I'm gonna try to make plays. I'm gonna try to give all I have, defensively, and give the team energy, because that's I mean, more than how much I'm going to play, that's my role, you know, just coming from the bench and bringing that energy and bringing that competitiveness that I have it on me.
What did you like about your guys' 3-point defense? You guys did really good, just limiting 3-point shots.
I think being high on the screen, you know, that takes some of the pull-up threes that a lot of guards are shooting nowadays in the league. Also the rotation, I think being locked in and knowing that, okay, I'm gonna rotate to this guy, and being on top of them and not letting them shoot easy threes, you know, contesting all those shots. I think that was huge. I think that's more as a mentality of playing hard and knowing personnel, knowing who I'm closing out to, and making sure that we try to get away the 3-point shooters they have, you know, not let them shoot easy threes. I think we did a good job, and like I said, we just gotta keep doing it and get better.
Christos?
Hey Raul, hope you're doing well. You said before that you always want to get better, especially on defense. So what would you like to improve on your defensive effort? About the intensity, about the approach, and how productive is the second unit? Because you are one of the part of the second unit. How more productive you're gonna be this season?
I think defensively is just getting used to the rotations and getting used to the game plans and talking. I think those are things that I feel like you can always improve. You know, there's always a play or two in a game that you were a second late, or you rotate to the wrong guy. I think those little details is something that that we can all get better. I think as far as intensity, as far as heart, I think I've always give everything. So there's nothing there. But and then I think from the second unit, like I just said before, I think the roles are gonna change during the season. We know that a bench has to come into the game and not let the other team go on a run or hold a lead or bring more energy. So I think that's something that I always have in my mind when I'm coming from the bench, and I try to push from the other guys too. You know, when I see Danny coming with me, and I try to talk to him and say, "Hey, Danny, locked in. We gotta keep going. We gotta bring the energy up." You know, I think those things you gotta have in mind when you're coming from the bench.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's it, Raul. Thank you.
Thank you.